Hey y'all, welcome back to Spirit of the Outdoors. I was going to show today one of the ways that I'm using corn that I grow to feed baby chicks. I know you go buy, it's good to buy medicated chick starter and all that stuff, but a lot of times I don't go buy it, because I medicate them through their water. And so I was going to show you one of the ways I use my own corn to feed baby chicks. But obviously, I have a couple of tools at my disposal. This is an old, I seen the name a while ago, David Bradley on this corn sheller. Now, I just went and put me a new handle on this, so I got to be careful that's still hot where I welded the rod back through. Put me a little hickory handle on there. But this is springed right here, so that can adjust. Stick the corn in there and shell it. Once I shell it, I've got a box in here. I'll bring the camera over here where you can see a little better when I shell it. Then I pour it into here and this grinds it up for me. So I don't know the name of this old mill. I've had it for a while and it's just an antique. I don't really know precisely what it is. I just know it's an old mill. I don't know what it was designed for. I think you could probably grind about whatever in it. However, it does not grind things up really, really fine. When you run corn through it, if you run it through a couple of times, you get more fine than you did, but you'll get very fine the first time through it, you just don't get as much. So a lot of times I run through it both ways. I run the corn through it twice so that I get more fine to feed these baby chicks. And you'll get somewhere the consistency of a mix between cornmeal to cracked corn. So, and then there'll be some whole pieces that find their way through there. So I was just going to show you how some of this operates. Now the first thing I noticed when I got over here to film is this is squeaking really bad. So there's a hole, let me get over here where you can see. There's a hole right there. And in this bottle I've just got some burnt motor oil. There's a hole right back here. And I just pour a little in there. Once you put that oil in there and run it a few times, it don't squeak as bad. Okay. So on to this corn sheller. Now it's not too bad. Probably don't need any oil on it. But you just see it spits the cob back out here to the side. Now this is some old white trucker's corn that I grew last year. And I only had about a tub full of it. And when I say a tub full, I'm talking about a plastic tote. And I was gonna grind it for cornmeal, but the weevils got in it before I got done anything with it. So and they don't everything just work precisely, and you lose a little corn. Some of it comes out over here to the side. The ideal thing when I first designed this box that it's sitting on, I just let the corn go down in it. But I've started using this box as a storage, and I don't grind that much of it. Now, however, this year I may go back to grinding more of it. But if you're going to process your own grains, your own corn, and corn's all I'm going to fool with, y'all. Right now, you can go buy a 50-pound sack of wheat for $10. you can't grow it for that and pick it off. I mean, I don't have a way of harvesting wheat. So some of those other grains, not feasible for me to do on a homestead situation. If you've got the implements and the tools, it may work for you. I just don't have it. So anyway, and Brody, he loves to come find these corn cobs, y'all. He's got a collection of them over there. You may can see them back there. He loves to play with them corn cobs. But you can see how this is eat off. The mice are getting in my corn over there. So, what I harvest this fall, I will probably bag up after it dries really good. And you see I had to push that down in there a little bit. I don't grind more of this than what I'm going to feed. Usually I grind 2 or 3 days worth. So, and then what I do is I put my boards back up here and we'll run it through this meal right here. Whoop, hang on, I got one more ear. Hang on, we're getting the cart ahead of the horse. We have one more ear, y'all. It does all right. It ain't a perfect deal. You see how that had some stayed on it. And shoe peg corn will go through one time because it's got a real small cob. Okay, I use this old aluminum beat up pan, and I say y'all know I like junk, so I use my junk now. A lot of people say junk, don't never use it. I actually do stuff with it. So what I'm doing is taking this corn, and I need to design me something a little better than this. And you can see, I don't know if you can or not on that camera, there is weevils. There's one right there. So this is not good for me for human consumption, but it's still fine for chicken feed. The only difference is once these weevils get in there and I was gonna sell it, I'd have to charge more for high protein. And see, about 6 or 7, 8 ears will fill this hopper slam full. So, and then I've got these coffee cans I have my box sitting on in there. Because when I buy cracked corn in these sacks, I'll store it in this box sometimes. So let's see if this don't squeak so bad and see if we can grind some of this. You see there's a lot of fine coming out too. Now this is a workout, this ain't easy. I put me a piece of water hose on there to slip for a handle because this is froze up, this nut right here, and I could fix it, but I just didn't want to break it. I just showed this water hose, it works good. Now you see this, there's a lot of fine stuff in there. That's what I'm after for my little chicks. And yeah, I could probably rig me a motor up to this. But now this don't have a place for a belt. But now I could engineer it. I know I could. Now, since I'm out of breath, I'm getting old and fat, I need to take a minute to catch my breath. On this, now if you really wanted to get crucial, you could sift this and run the bigger stuff through again, and I'm sure it would. But generally what I do is just feed it. Once they pick out everything that they want, there's large kernels left, I just rake it out into something, throw it in one of the bigger chicken pens. So let's go feed these babies right quick. This is why I like this aluminum pan. I can fold that thing up and use it for a phone. I see that had a little bit of oil in it. we're gonna just throw that away, okay? But we've got this little pail right here. Good baby food. All right. So what I do, see how I got, there's still a lot of good food in there. They'll scratch a lot of this on the ground. So I'm gonna pour all this out. They can get to it if they want to. But I'm gonna throw some extra in there. And y'all always throw some out here. I've tried to put them some green stuff, but they scratched at it, but they won't hardly eat it. Pick this bigger stuff up out of it. I can throw it in another pan. Are you happy about it, y'all? I throw some in them pans because they'll scratch a lot of this out on the ground. And sometimes I throw it on the ground too. But see, there's some bigger stuff they can't eat. And if you overfeed them, they'll just scratch it on the ground. Now, y'all, I let these mule trains right here just hatch on their own. I haven't hatched a lot of chickens yet this year. And this, I need to redo the water today. Wash that out. But I haven't hatched a whole bunch of chickens this year because feeding them is getting expensive. Even doing it this way, I am still buying some higher protein stuff to feed. Let me shut this and get them some water. Like I was saying, I haven't raised a lot of game fowl this year due to the cost. What I've been feeding mostly for all of my chickens in general, ducks too, is I've been mixing a 24-20 dog food that has smaller pellets. Even the banty chickens can eat it. And it's got 24% protein and 20% fat. When I feed that, I mix it 1 part dog food with 2 more parts chicken chops, basically, as a filler. And I fill that in, but I am going around and pulling weeds, pulling a lot of this, and a lot of it's dying. But you see, I have a lot of this, what they call a beef plant. These weeds, this is what I'm talking about, the beef plant. Foliage, this is a medicinal plant. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you everything it does, but y'all, I'm throwing a lot of that stuff into my chickens. And that helps. But it's costing a lot to feed chickens, so I backed out of it. And here's the reason. I'm slowly transitioning from game fowl back to my, what I call Americanas that lay blue eggs. I do have some of them that are Easter eggers, and what an Easter egger is a mixed breed that is not a purebred chicken that lays various colored eggs, thus the Easter egger. The ones that I have that I call Americanas are not the Americana breed that looks a certain way. This is the Americana, spelled C-U-A-N-A, and they lay nothing but blue eggs. And there's a big argument around these chickens, but there's so much misinformation because they get the idea that those chickens, everything comes from a breeder up in the Midwest, and they were selling them with that name but there is a chicken that is that, but you don't buy it from a hatchery, okay? Into that. I've transitioned back to them because they lay better eggs. They're a heartier chicken. I can eat this chicken if I need to. Y'all, this game fowl, if I get hungry, I can eat them, but they're not as good. It's a tough bird. They're not as good to eat if you're gonna go out and grill chicken, kill one on the yard. Now I do have some meat birds over here that I'm feeding out that I pulled off of a chicken farm and they caught chickens. A lot of people recommend don't bring that stuff to your yard, but look, when you get in a homestead situation and you're feeding your family and you're looking for cheap means of buying groceries, all bets are off. There ain't no rules, okay? I'm not quitting gamefowl by any means. I love my gamefowl. I'll always have gamefowl, but I'm downsizing them because feeding birds just for a hobby because you like to hear them crow. Now, I get plenty of eggs from them, but y'all, I don't get enough eggs to justify what it's cost to feed the amount of gamefowl that I have as a hobby. Now, if you're making money off of them, showing them, whatever, if you fighting them or whatever, that's one thing. I don't do any of that. I don't show them. I don't fight them. I don't take them to get ribbons. None of that stuff. It's just a hobby that I like this breed of chicken. So it's really not making a lot of common sense for me to keep raising as many of these birds I'm raising. So I'm downsizing that, and I'm starting to hatch a little more of my Americanas. Another thing with those chickens is these gamefowl, you cannot just make a small fence out here and them stay in it. They will fly over it, gone. I mean, they won't leave the property, but they up the trees, they down in the garden, they in everything. You can't just put a fence around your garden and keep them out. They'll fly over it. These, what gamefowl breeders call dung hills, the Americanas, they won't go over that fence. They'll walk up to it, scratch around, well, I can't go in there and leave. They don't fly up in the trees as bad. Now, yeah, they can, and they eventually will, but they don't just dive over every fence. So I want to use them in my gardens to process my garden, so I am transitioning back over to some of that. And I settled on that versus the Rhode Island Reds and all those other chickens because they're just a hardier, tougher, easier to raise chicken. The eggs are better, the eggs peel better. Those blue eggs, people like to look at them more. It's the chicken to have, in my opinion, if you're going to just have a homestead chicken. And y'all, I have raised I've had Rhode Island Reds, I have had Silver Lace Wyandottes, I have had all kind of bannies. I've had a lot of different kind of chickens here. And that's just my personal opinion. Everybody's got their own opinion, and you raise what you like. But I was just letting you know a little of what's going on with the chickens. And y'all, I'll walk you down through here. These birds down here in the cool of the shade, y'all, they doing a whole lot better. These roosters right down in here, and I know I've had some people that they don't really like them in these small cages, but if you don't keep these birds in a cage, they will fight each other and they will kill each other. And they don't need a whole lot more than what they've got. They scratch around in there. I throw them some fresh straw every once in a while. I keep them clean water, but y'all, they drinking a whole lot less water down here in these shades. That putting those birds out on teepees all out in a broad open field, not the way to go. I'm telling you, I tried that. I don't do that anymore with gamefowl. Down in these woods, now you do have to watch for what I call widowmakers. If you got a dead tree, you need to know which way it's leaning, where you got to be careful where you put your stuff. But this shade makes all the difference in the world. So anyway, I just wanted to do a little update on gamefowl and feeding these babies and show you a little what's going on. Thank y'all for watching Spirit of the Outdoors. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time. Remember, best way to do things, the way you like to do it. We'll see y'all.